Thanks and welcome to this particular session organized by Integrity. So just a quick background on Integrity and before we get into details about what we're going to cover today. So Integrity is SAP consulting services and practices that we have founded 4 years back. We are based in Canada and also we operate from India and the Middle East and other locations across the globe, supporting Fortune 500 customers in SAP space across different technologies. So we are very proud to be part of SAP partnership and try to help customers to leverage the SAP ecosystem and try to make sure that the customers who are engaged with us are getting most of their investment what they are done with SAP with our leading practices. So that's for integrating. The topic that you see today, and thanks for registering with us. We're going to cover about how the business processes that we see in organization, which span across different applications, can be streamlined together by leveraging the power of Microsoft technologies and also SAP S4 cloud technologies that we're going to go talk through these today. Okay, so with me, I have my colleague Raj. So we'll do a quick introduction for ourselves, and we'll get started. So myself, Sushil Katkade, part of the integrated team, started uh, with our founder 4 years back, senior consultant in SAP space for more than 20 years of experience, uh, consulting, implementation, maintenance and support, and also making sure that the customer are leveraging the SAP landscape and kind of get most of it when it comes to consulting expertise that I have in this space. So that's about me. And we have Raj also with us from Integrity. Raj, to you.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. This is Raj. I'm a senior technical architect at Integrity, and I have work experience of around 18 plus years. So I started my career in India and then moved to various countries for SAP implementation. So I spent more than a decade's time in Middle East, worked in Europe, and worked for Microsoft as an employee and now I'm in Calgary, Canada. So when it comes to the technology background, I started with SAP ABAP, HR ABAP, BSP, WebDen Pros, you name it, any stack within the SAP, right? So I've worked extensively on most of the areas. Now my current area of expertise is in BTP, integrations, and AI and ML. So
Thanks,
that's
Raj.
yep.
Thank you. So thanks, team, for taking your time. So we'll start with our topic today, and me and Raj will try our best to walk you through the particular scenario, that we would like to present. Obviously, with the business background, trying to cover the technical aspect of it, and also followed by a demo. And you might have some questions. We'll like to address those questions at the end of the session. So what is this about, right? I think we did spoke about the particular scenario that we're talking about streamlining the business process, across a landscape that a typical scenario that we see in today's world. So, uh, really, I think you are most of you must be part of your engagement, either on a customer side or yourself being part of the consulting organization. You're seeing how the digital transformation is really, helping customers today to improve efficiencies and also, leverage the full potential of the technologies. So, as a part of that process, you see, uh, digital landscape is really evolving and also is getting into an hybrid landscape. When we say hybrid landscape, that means we might have multi-cloud environment where we got different solutions, different applications based on what they fit really best for their purposes. But then now the challenge comes, you choose on the best of the breed for your solutions, but then how are you going to seamlessly integrate those applications where the business gets a full potential of those systems and leverage the technology investment that you might have done for your different landscapes. So As a part of that process, with our experience, we know that ERP SAP is really strong in that space. We are seeing that from last, I think, more than 50 years now, right? And especially with the cloud innovation that has started 15 years back, SAP is taking a lead on that. As a part of that, SAP has evolved on the databases, SAP HANA, the new generation of the SAP application on SAP S/4HANA, and also SAP's cloud platform, which is a business technology platform. So on a typical organization that you see where we have SAP footprint, we see SAP being in center with the technology platform, which is BTP, and also a leading product, in that space for other applications to be managed with Microsoft. And then Microsoft has started their cloud journey, and we know that Azure is really picking up really great in the market. So for a typical organization which has embarked upon a digital transformation journey, the typical landscape looks like SAP either on-premise or on the cloud, either public or private cloud. BTP being in the center for the integration and also the extension piece. And the customer is on Microsoft platform by leveraging the Azure platform what they have. Now, with that being considered, how we're going to leverage this different landscape that we have for a typical customer to integrate them together, make sure that we leverage the full capability of the SAP S/4HANA, full capability of PTP platform, and also the full capability of Microsoft Azure services so that we can bring those together and streamline the business operations, enhance the productivity, and really help business to accelerate the innovation, make sure that the market demands are met, and also same time give the right user experience for the users who are working on these technologies. Either they are casual users or they are day in day out doing the ERP transactions. So uh, saying that, that's where it's where it's very important to understand how this technology fits together, from that landscape perspective.
Yeah, I agree with you, Sushil. Like integrating the S4 HANA, BTP, and Azure, right? So it unlocks a lot of new capabilities for business by eventually combining the strength of both the platforms, which will help them to have the seamless integrations and the experience, right? So, Sushil, will you tell what are the benefits of BTP and how it could benefit the customers, especially if they are already on S4, and your thoughts on that?
Yeah, sure. I think what we just spoke about, is about the hybrid landscape of a digital enterprise, how that looks like, and BTP being in the center, how we can leverage the benefits of the BTP and also the capability, that the BTP offers, right? So, as you know, for most of the SAP S/4HANA implementation, or where the organization has embarked upon going to SAP S/4HANA journey, BTP it becomes part of that solution component, right? So it offers a very stable, scalable, robust platform for developing and running the cloud-based application, where it can be playing a role of an integration, or as well as we can extend the SAP solutions with the concept of keeping the core clean, right? So with that, it offers the tools, frameworks, and also the development environments. We can connect easily to the SAP S/4HANA backend and do all the cloud application that you can do, not on just ABAP, but also on the open source technologies, where you can have a full power of open source along with the ERP backend application, and you can use the BTP platform to get those development done. And also, as I explained, it's scalable and it's flexible. That means, it has a runtime which can, auto adjust itself, or you can size it accordingly and have a keep an eye to manage the workload very effectively on this platform, right? Traditionally, if you look at our on-premise installation that we are seeing, for typical scenarios where we have to, look for the infrastructure solution, add more horsepower to the system, takes own time. Where this cloud BTP platform is really scalable and flexible from that perspective, right? So I think another key capability that BTP offers is about really the integration, and that's what our key topic today in terms of how we are going to integrate the hybrid scenarios with the different landscapes, either on-premise or cloud, and how we can leverage the BTP's power, which offers really solid solution for integration. Either via integration suite or via the event mesh technologies or workflows, whatever you say, is there available on BTP platform, especially in the context of ERP process improvement, right? And obviously, not saying that we have a very strong analytical and reporting capabilities on the BTP platform, which can be leveraged, for really robust data insights and making some decision-making tool for the business using the ERP backend, right? So that's the power of the BTP, which can be used for these integration scenarios, right?
Yeah. Yes, Sushil, I second your thoughts on this BTP and its benefits that you can bring it to the table. But it's equally important to demonstrate the integration, patterns or the collaboration that it can make with the other technology. In this case, like we should be addressing the integration possibility of SAP with Microsoft, and uh, you can talk about the possible integration patterns of SAP and Microsoft.
Yeah, so which makes sense, right? Like today's topic is about that, right? So how we can use the SAP and SAP's technologies along with the Microsoft powerful tools, that has an Azure platform. Now, what you see on the screen are a very typical and possible integration patterns that we can have with SAP and Microsoft, right? So, like started with the chatbot integration where we can leverage BTP's conversation AI capabilities, which can integrate it with Microsoft Teams. That's going to be a topic for today for our discussion. We can have notifications and alerts, where we can leverage BTP's event driven architecture uh, to also leverage how we can the notification from ERP's for HANA system, which can integrate with with the Teams and Microsoft platform. Collaboration and document sharing, all the unstructured data that comes as a part of ERP processes. BTP offers very robust platform for integration. We know the ERP, especially SAP S4 HANA, traditionally SAP solutions, but in that matter, S4 is very much workflow driven, right? So a lot of decisions are being made, which needs approval. So how that can integrate with the workflow solution of SAP S4 HANA and bring the users in the ecosystem to improve the user experience by integrating the teams and the workflow, right? And then also the data reporting, right? We can take a lot of insights from ERP data, combine that with the Azure platform, leverage the powerful capability of the Azure, and then bring a lot of insights about the data, right? So I think these are some possible patterns that we are seeing currently trending, which where the business is really looking for some robust solutions by looking into these patterns and bring that productivity and user experience and operational improvement for businesses, right? So that's what I can see very typical patterns, and obviously we're going to talk through today uh, about how we came back with one of the problem statement that we had, combining two or three pattern that we see today, how that solved a business problem there, right? So that's our discussion topic today.
Yes, it's good to bring the integration options to the audience, Sushil. And
Mhm.
as you rightly said, like we can combine two of the major capabilities of this collaboration, the workflow approval as well as chatbot integration. How we have seen the problem statement from the business owners and how we leverage to provide the solution on top of it, right?
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I think we almost covered 30, like almost 20, feel like 15, 20 minutes in the session. So I know we are trying to cover uh, really good topic here, very interesting, right? So if any questions are there, we are welcome team who are joining on the webinar here to have those questions asked in the Q&A, and we have a moderator who can look at those questions and bring that back to me and Raj, and we'll try to answer those as a part of this session if it's relevant for that particular topic, or we'll take it at the end. But I'll strongly encourage have your questions or any clarification required to be asked during the session, right? So yeah, so I think Raj, you're right. So we looked at the possible integration pattern now. One of the problem statement that we have been planning to demo today is in the procurement scenario, right? Where uh, personally, I think you remember, we've seen this at customer where they embarked upon the digital transformation by SAP S/4HANA journey with their core ERP application. They had Microsoft. as their platform in terms of non-ERP solutions, right? With Azure being the platform. So uh, the requirement really came, that it is a very strong procurement driven organization, very strong procurement processes, uh, right? So how they can engage uh, uh, their leadership and also the business users by using the technology what they have in terms of SAP S/4HANA, Fury Launchpad, and Microsoft Teams, right? So one of the scenario that we see a challenge, there, like it is not something it was not working, but then it again it brought efficiency and also given the power of the technologies back to the users, right? Example, we seen that in a typical procurement scenario where the purchaser or a buyer was creating a purchase order in SAP S/4HANA, where his day in day out job is to work in SAP S/4HANA as a procurement consultant or a procurement person, right? To buy the things in using SAP S/4HANA procurement solution. So once you do that based on the configuration, obviously, the PO limit value, how it needs to be done, which triggers an email notification to the purchasing manager. Right now, with our experience, we have seen, that the purchasing manager uh, has to, will has to log into the Outlook where he'll be always on his Outlook, email and other technologies. He'll get alert, but to get the action done in the system, he has to either open his SAP GUI application on the screen, or if the Fury Launchpad is really been implemented, from that perspective, uh, he has to go to the Fury Launchpad, open the inbox app, open that particular task, and then look at those details and approve and reject the request. Right. If he has any questions for that particular purchase order, then obviously he has to either send email to the buyer or call him, or have a chat initiated with him on a Microsoft Teams, right? So all that communication really happened outside of the ERP application, S4 application, and then there is no really direct link between those two applications, right? So that's where we had a problem statement, and then the discussions it came that how this can be further improved in terms of the users who are interacting with the system are participating, and then we don't ask folks to use different technologies for getting into the things, right? Especially purchase manager, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yes, Sushil. Adding to the problem statement, right? It also makes the unfamiliarity with the SAP systems, especially for the PO manager or even for the buyer, for that matter. Navigating across various systems, as you exactly mentioned, and even when it comes to approving the work items, right? So the manager might, had the experience of approving the work items through SAP Business Workplace, UWL. Now, the My Inbox. And now it is coming as a cloud-based solution, right? At the task center. So having all different components in place, it might be a bit of learning required for the manager as well as a buyer to understand the whole system, right?
Correct. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, exactly. Because uh, we being the users of the system, right? We saw the purchasing manager. He may not be so deep into SAP technology in terms of using that as a day-to-day application for him, right? But obviously he has different tasks to do. He might be in the SAP system for approval, run some reports, and look at some analytics and make some decisions, right? But then mostly some of the technology he might be using more frequently is really the Microsoft technology, which is like he'll be on Teams, he'll be on email, compared to the SAP applications, right? Yeah.
Okay. So thanks for that, Sushil, and we will get into the details of how we address these problems, right? So it is high time we should explain about how we targeted this problem, and in this particular integration scenario, we made sure the integration components like S4, BTP, and Azure were in place in order to provide the seamless data integration between the SAP and the teams. So in this case specifically, the buyer creates a PO order in SAP S4 HANA. So instead of email, right, the purchase manager receives the notification directly in Teams. So he can go through all the PO information along with that the line item information as well, and he can make a decision on that. So the purchase manager can review the details and he can take the action directly on the card. And upon approving and rejecting this card, right? So it updates back to S4 HANA. And if further information is needed from the the buyer, the manager can directly interact with the buyer through the Teams channel. So we have considered this use case, which is going to not only act as an approval process, right? So we are in bringing the chatbot capabilities of Azure, and with the help of the OData, the information is taken back and forth from the SAP HANA system, and henceforth the manager can continue the conversation, right? I
Yeah.
think we should be able to explain the process flow as well. And coming to this process flow, right? So this is the overall process flow, as I mentioned, right? The business user in S4 HANA system on the left hand side, right? So he will create a purchase requisition. And once the purchase requisition is created, and we have a program or methodology to push this particular PO into the SAP's event mesh. Needless to say, the event mesh has been a buzzword in the BTP in the last couple of years. So once it reaches the event mesh, then there is a node application which is deployed in the BTP. So it will act as a webhook. It will immediately read the messages, whatever it is coming in the queue, receives the PR, and fetches the additional information about the line items and quantity and all that. And this particular node application then pushes the adaptive cards to the teams, so with which the manager will be able to make the approval decision in a matter of no time. Yeah. So
Yeah. So this looks to be a really interesting, Raj, where we have SAP S/4HANA, we got a BTP platform, and also Teams, using powerful services of all the landscape, there, where we can see those decisions coming there, right? Yeah.
yeah, perfectly, yes. And it is high time to also talk about the architecture and competence, Sushil.
Yeah, correct. I think thanks, Raj, for that. I think the process flow, I think, was very really good, that you has brought a visual on there. Now, as we saw, as the the purchase process approval is going through different technologies, so really look at the components, that we have in our solution is really how that goes, right? So we got SAP S4 HANA, where the procurement solution is there, where we create purchase order from the transaction, like by the buyer. Then it triggers the flexible workflow which is configured, and then when that workflow is available, we got a ABAP program to push the work item to the event queue, which is registered with BTP service, right? Now BTP plays really a central role here, right? Where we got BTP integration capabilities, which connect to SAP S4 HANA system, and then look at the queues, register the queues, and handle all that queue management in the BTP as a service, right in there. And then also at the same time, it connects with the Microsoft Azure so that those events are consumed and published on the Azure services for the end user consumption. And obviously, the key component here is a Microsoft Azure service where we use that platform to build the bot around how that needs to be interacted with user. And the key aspect is really the Teams channel, where the Teams channel is initiated based on this event, and then the purchase manager really start interacting with that service on the Teams, and then do a lot of interaction with that. Obviously the supporting components are, if any documents are required, any questions, blob storage is there, the graph APIs, and also the integration with IIS sub account from the security aspect, right? In terms of security, because it's very important to understand the security component here. I'm just going to talk about that for a half a minute. Is about, as we're talking about having the experience coming from the teams, BTP, and going back to S4 HANA, we have to make sure that we keep the identity of the users interacting same across the landscape, right? And then that's why I think we leverage the IS component of the BTP, and also the principal propagation of BTP, where the user who is approving on the Teams on his corporate login still approves the purchase order, and still we retain that audit history in the backend where who that user has approved, right? Because that seamless integration of security allow us to have that critical components or requirement of the audit to be taken care by means of IS and the principal propagation. I think with that, I think let's get into more detail, Raj, it about the different nitty gritty about the solution and how
Yeah.
that was implemented, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yes, Sushil. Obviously, so that's one of the major challenges that we face, right?
So Raj, just sorry, one pause. I think I saw one hand raised by the participant. So I'll really encourage all the participants. If you have any questions or clarification, please leverage the Q&A section of the chat. We are more than happy to take those questions and answer it during the session or at the end of the session. Thanks for that. Yeah, Raj, please continue.
Yes, Sushil.
Yeah,
So, uh,
Sushil and Raj, it's me who raised the hand. The chat option is disabled, so I could not really put my inner question in the chat, but I just got unmuted. So, is it okay if I ask the question now, or you want me to wait till the end?
uh,
No,
so
go ahead. You can
uh,
ask the question. Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Okay. So in the previous architecture, you mentioned that okay, you have a Node.js script that is added onto the BTP platform, right?
yep.
So how this script is connecting to SAP ABAP stack, the S4 ABAP stack. So do you have any kind of services that you have developed which basically picks the PR information or PO information?
Yeah, I think during the runtime architecture, right? So it is a very valid and a very good question. So when we get into the subsequent slide, I have answer for that, Raghu. Will it be okay if I can, explain when we reach that slide?
Yeah, yeah, should be okay.
Okay. So good. Yeah, this is the runtime architecture of the complete solution. So as Sushil mentioned, right. The buyer will raise an PO in the S4 HANA system. So once the PO is raised, so we have a flexible workflow in which it will determine if the order the order value, if it is more than $1,000, it will just send the workflow, so fix a set of people. So once this the workflow is initiated, so the work item will be waiting in the SAP stack. So we have two mechanism in which this particular work item ID as well as the PO number need to be pushed to the SAP BTP event mesh. So the one possible way is we can schedule an ABAP report which can fetch all the work items, the pending work items, and push it to the event queue, or we can make a live integration by using the business object or business events. Upon raising the PO, it can instantly push this particular work ID information along with the PO to the queue. So by two means, you can send this work item or the workflow information to the SAP event mesh. And Raghu, coming back to your question, right? So once this particular schedule program or the live APIs, which has the capability to push this PO into the event mesh, then comes, you can see the flow here, right? So first flow is you have created the HANA, so it is published. And this is exactly I am talking about, right? The couple of ways in which you can push this pending work items to the event mesh queue. So once it reaches the event mesh, right? So we have a node application deployed in the BTP. The beauty of this application is that it acts as a webhook, meaning whenever a particular queue information like work item or any S4 events reaches this particular queue, right? It instantly, pulls this information and then process it further, right? So here, to answer your question precisely, so we have the scheduled program which could read not only PO but any work item for that matter, and then push to the event mesh. This program can be scheduled like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, depending upon the business needs. Did I answer your question, Raghu? Okay, I think
Yeah, I
I'm
think
not
yeah,
able to hear.
continue. Yeah, so
Okay.
let's continue. Yeah, correct.
Okay, perfect. So once the BTP receives this messages from the queue, right? What it does is it does the destination and the connectivity service to fetch the additional information. Why we are doing this additional information fetch is that so whenever the message is left in part number two, right? So the message has to be very light. We should not be bombarding the entire set of pure information into the queue. So we keep this queue very light so that if in case the BTP application requires the additional information, which is mentioned in step 4, it will make a connectivity through the secure tunnel and fetch the additional details, right? So once it fetches the details and forms this adaptive card, it then pushes this particular card to the approving manager. So, as Sushil rightly mentioned before, right, this is one of the major challenges that we have faced in order to propagate the Teams logged in user to the S4 HANA. And we were able to successfully do that. So that's one part. So the second part is first is the approval part, and the second part is still the manager if he wishes to make the conversation with the buyer, or if he wants to fetch additional information from the S4, still he can make the make use of the Teams, and he can make the conversation between S4 or the buyer and himself. So I can walk through the demo with reference to this architecture that will give a little more idea about what exactly we have done.
I think that will be great, Raj. Because looking at uh, the high-level component there, that I explained, and also you kind of walk us through the detailed flow. I think it's very important, because we got a lot of technical folks on the call here to really see the things in action, right? I think that makes a lot of difference to see how that really looks like. So really appreciate, Raj, if you can, walk us through the demo, and then we'll see how that looks like, and maybe team might have more questions there, right?
Perfect, Sushil. I think I'd be delighted to do that. And let's get into the implementation steps. So these are all the prerequisites, right? So for this demo, we have used the S4 HANA system, BTP account with sub accounts enabled, event mesh enablement, and the Foundry enablement in order to host the node application into the server. Then we have enabled other microservices like Cloud Connector Destination Service and make sure the principal propagation is working so that the logged in user is propagated to S4 and it's back to the Teams, right? So and we had the Azure subscription with which we had the blob storage and Teams channel preparation and a lot of components within the Azure, right? We were able to enable with the help of this subscription. And configuration and setup, yes. So as I said before, right? So the connectivity has to be between S4 to BTP and then the BTP to the Azure. So we made sure the complete solution still follows the security aspects like identity management, data encryption, and even as you know, like with the help of SAP Cloud Connector, a secure tunnel is always maintained whenever the data is going back and forth between the systems.
Yeah. So Raj, just to one additional point, as as the timing was very right for your last topic for security. I did do a question coming up about the how the SAP user ID and the Teams ID, if they're different, how they're managed, right? So we really use the principal propagation along with the SAML technology, to integrate that. So example, you got Microsoft Azure being use your identity provider, on the cloud. And what we did is we set up the SAP user ID, which can be different than your Azure ID. But then the common factor is really there with the SAML is your email address, right? So in SAP SU01, we have the email address attribute same as your corporate login ID. And then with help of IS integration with the principal propagation in BTP, all that is completely maintained, where you log in on your Teams and you interact on the Teams, all your interaction get logged in the backend with your SAP user ID, because that's how it matches with the SAML attributes, right?
Yes.
So I think if required, we can get into more detail as Raj is going to explain that demo. He's
Yeah.
going to show that to us, right?
Yes. Yes, as you rightly said, right? So the important backbone for this is Azure and BTP has to mutually exchange their SAML authentication. Though BTP is in the backend, but it will be always through the Azure, which will be proxying through the BTP, and it will reach the S4 HANA using their email as an SAML attribute. So as Sushil rightly mentioned, you might have a different, AD IDs, but in this case, we have used the email ID as a SAML attribute, so that it is in sync between the system and the SSO can be enabled seamlessly.
And this is one of the requirement, right? Because when it comes to purchase order approvals, it's really audit driven process, right? So we need to make
Right.
sure that who approves it needs to be registered in the PO, who approves it, and that's how the audit comes into picture, right? And then we maintain that by means of these technologies, right?
Yes. And thanks for that, Sushil. And when it comes to the integration development, as I said, like we had some of the programs running in the background that will speak to the event mesh APIs, and still you need to make the setup when it comes to the SSO, and the trust has to be established between S4 and the BTP systems, and you have to enable the Azure subscriptions. And when it comes to the BTP, as I said before, like you need to have the identity exchanged between Azure and BTP in the first place with the help of IAS. And we have the node application which needs to be deployed in the BTP. Then comes the transformation, routing, and the orchestration logic, right, which is already part of the node as well as the Azure platforms. So let me just quickly get into the system demo, Sushil. What do you think?
Yeah, I think let's get started, right? Because we are on 9:41.
Yep.
Let's finish the demo in maybe 10 minutes, and then we can come back to the questions, right? Again, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, to even demonstrate the user propagation or the SSO capabilities, right? So I will be having a two different set of user. So the assume like the PO initiator or the buyer is H4 user one, and the manager is myself, Raj Kumar. So we will see the complete flow, like how it originates from S4, gets into the flexible workflow, and a program to push this particular work item into the BTP and all that, right? So it will be better if I compare this particular slide with the solution so that you can easily correlate between what I'm trying to explain from the system. So let me log into the system first. Um, Let me just try to add the SAP channel here. Okay, so I have the communication channel enabled in here. Now I'll be getting into my S4 system. So as I said, like the initiator is the H4 user one. So what I'm going to do is to create purchase PO with reference to the existing PO order. I don't want to take much of time in here. So I'm going to create a PO, new PO with reference to the existing, PO document. Say this is the document. And with the help of this document, I'm going to move it to this cart. So that will have a line item which the net price has, like $1 or $2. So upon saving this, what it does is it created a PO, and the number is 669. So I need to know at the same time who are the approvers, right? So we have the flexible workflow configured, and for that particular PO, we can see like who are the approvers. Let me just go to the flexible workflow section, and so it is saying the status ready, and these are all the processor, right? So I am one among the processor. So now with the help of a flexible workflow, the work item is already created, and it is waiting for the ABAP program to read this work item and push to the SAP event mesh So what I'm going to do is quickly get into the scheduled program, and the moment if I'm going to run this program, right, it should read what are the available work items in the background. And as you can hear from the background, like I have received the notification card. So this is the notification I have received as a manager, right? So this is my team's ID. So since I'm one of the approvers, I have received the a PO card in here for approval, and the approver can get into the details of the line item. So this is exactly mentioned in our PO, right? The value of $103, and I can approve it. And the other best part is he can send the approve or the reject comments also in here. So like I'm just saying approving the PO. So I'm sending it. So what it does, basically, it will be updating the status of my PO. So this is my PO number. Let me see. Let me get into the S4 system to see who has approved, whether the principal propagation has taken the actual user who has approved it. Let me go back to the same transaction ME23N to see the status of the workflow. So okay, this is the PO that was created. Let me just go to the header, and again the flexible workflow, which gives me the status. And you could see it is processed by me, Rajkumar, and the status has been changed to PO order released. And in the comment section, you could see like what I have entered here, right? So I'm approving this PO. So basically what it did was the moment the program pushed this particular work item to the event mesh. So we have, so let me just show, we have event queue, which will be actively listening in here to receive the events from the backend. So this is active, right? So the application is configured against this particular queue name. The application is nothing but a Node.js application deployed on the BTP, and it will act as a webhook, meaning any message which arrives in the queue will be automatically picked by this Node.js application, and it will furnish the additional details and push the adaptive card to the approver. So this is how the flow of the notification scenario. Let me also walk you through the chat scenarios, right? So in the Microsoft Azure, we have created a lot of intents and utterances. So this is the other beauty of Azure, right? So it's not only about the approval messages which happens back and forth. So we have built the chat utterances as well as the intents. For example, if you want to know the status of the PO, right? So let me just put it here. So I can directly use this particular PO and then say, I want to know the status of this PO. So it says exactly like the status for the order is approved and the supplier is so and so. So as I said before, it doesn't act only for approval scenarios. You can make the live chat from the with the S4 system in place, and have a lot of intents and utterances developed around this. For example, let me just show you the other scenario. Like I want to know the value of the complete PO order.
Okay. So Raj, one of the question,
Yep.
yeah, so I think this is good, right? So these are all
Yep.
intent based, the question that came is about where are those questions are stored? Are we using any NLP technologies there? How those intents are created, right? Maybe if you can throw some light there quickly.
Yeah, so as I said, right, so we are using some of the NLPs in the Microsoft Azure. With the help of that, we have created this intents and the utterances. But at the end of the day, right? So the data is flowing from the S4 system. We are not staging the data considering the security, right? It will be always through the OData call, in which the Azure reaches the node application in the BTP in a secured way, and from the node, right, we have returned the OData calls. As you know, like we have the destination and the connectivity services through the secure tunnel. It fetches the information from the S4 and then gives back to the Teams channel.
Yeah, so just to summarize that what Raj has explained, that we are using really the Azure NLP technologies, right? And then we are using storing those questions as the intent in Azure, right? Those questions are being stored into Azure, and based on that, the intent is picked up, and the respective backend services is being called there, right? So that's the Azure framework that we are being using. And as you ask more question to the bot, it uses the bot platform to train itself, right? So the more questions you have, it builds a lot of intent around that, which can be used not for just particular PO, but all the approval process, right? Like the PO approval process there, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So this is one of the cases. So we have chosen the PO process. Why? Because a lot of stakeholders are involved. Even when the PO manager who approves the PO, if he wishes to exchange the document, or some other members, right, within the team channel, if he wishes to interact with the team members and then decide on this PO, right? So this would be a very good use case. And it doesn't stop only with
Yeah.
the pure scenarios, right? You can think of any scenario for that matter, coming from S4 or ECC, as long as the backend system has the capability of speaking to the BTP and pushing through the event mesh, right? So you can do wonders with the help of these technology components in place.
Yeah, thanks, Raj. I think a really great work here, like especially the demo part of it, right? Like another aspect for the demo was, I think when you click on the reject, there are some notes needs to be maintained.
Yep.
Those can be initiated by the chat, and it goes and stores in the purchase order either as a text or the chat there, right? So you don't lose the history where earlier you used to interact with the email, or all those interaction can be captured as a part of purchase order, right? So all that integration aspect has been taken care, and then that's the power of BTP and the Azure brought together to make this as a successful use case, especially for in the context of purchasing manager, right? So that's very important to achieve that, right? Now, as Raj has explained, like we picked up this one of the problem statement, but then it opens up the really door for a lot of integration scenarios possibility using the same framework, right? When it comes to SAP S/4HANA, or in that matter any SAP SaaS solution that we have, BTP is being the center in terms of leveraging all the aspect of the BTP that we just saw about the microservices, Node.js framework, and the event mesh, and also the integration aspect, and also the Teams Azure platform in terms of the Teams Azure and the bot framework that Azure offers, right? So all that we combine together, it opens up lot of opportunities, where we can make the life easy for business users, so that in that whole digital landscape they can use this framework, especially for some personas, the managers, the leaders who are very casual using SAP. We can bring that power to the teams, and then they can start interacting with SAP to get the work done, right? Rather than waiting for SAP applications to be opened up, right? So now some of the scenarios that we have this success factor integration can be done is the same SaaS solution offers API based integration with BTP, can be integrated with Teams like a Leo approval or any of the scenarios that we can think of. Ariba integration, same. If you have Ariba as your solution for procurement, and not SAP for HANA SRM solution, we can use Ariba integration from that perspective, right? Same for the Concur approvals or any in that matter. If you have any non-SAP solutions on-premise or cloud solutions, if they really have a good integration technologies in terms of the integration, like REST APIs available, then we can use that for integration and bring that to the Teams channel, right? I think it opens up a lot of opportunities and use cases. This is one of the one that we use to make the life easy for the purchasing manager, but then it doesn't end there, right? It still continues. I think that's really great, for us to understand how these powerful tools can be used to solve business problems. Right now, with that, I think looks to be very interesting. I see a lot of questions coming up, Raj, there. So let's look at one by one. We'll try to answer the question and then try to summarize that at the end. So one of the question which came is that about can we achieve this without BTP or only using the Azure bot framework when it comes to the NLP and other aspect of it, right? Are you going to address that question, Raj?
Sorry, Sushil, can you come again?
Yeah, so the question is about can we achieve this without BTP? Can we just use Azure bot framework to get the whole integration done, right? Right now we have S4 BTP and Azure bot framework right there. So the question is really can we use some BTP services for that?
If I understand right, so without involving BTP as a technology layer, you want to leverage directly from S4 system to the Azure bot framework, right?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
Microsoft has given the SDKs in which you can, make the communication between S4 and your Azure bot framework only when it comes to the conversation. So we cannot, there is no convinced solution on bringing this adaptive cards in the Azure framework. But yes, obviously you can do it. But the prerequisite could be like you need to have the AD sync, right? The Azure identity sync between your backend system with your Azure subscriptions or Azure AD for that matter. Once the single sign-on and the propagation is done right, so you can still go ahead with your conversation between Azure and backend. Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Raj, for that. Another question that came up is about in the Q&A, how scalable is this architecture, right? So maybe I'll try to explain that, and maybe Raj, you can add on top of there, right? So I think it's a good question. And now the scalable is about when it comes to BTP platform, especially on the Cloud Foundry, right? So it's scalable depending on the what licensing model that you have and what kind of of traffic that you see. It can be scaled, right? And we have a lot of features on BTP with auto scaling that can be applied, in terms of taking the load of that. As you said, the BTP and the Azure both are the cloud technologies which can be scaled, from the performance standpoint or in terms of the scalability of the solution, right, itself. Now, can it be scaled for other solutions? I think if I take the other aspect of that scalable question is yes, it can be scaled to other scenarios which I explained in the earlier slide within SAP S4 HANA approval processes, or in that matter we can have other SaaS solutions integrated to make it this solution more scalable, from that perspective. So I think that's my answer. Add something, Raj, there for that question.
I think you have pretty much given that, Sushil. That covers the holistic solution to the question. Yeah.
Right. Another question that I see is about the licensing, requirement and implication, right? As we're integrating different components here, right? So I think I'll try to answer that. I think from that perspective, I think SAP S4 HANA is already part of your solution, right? For any digital enterprise, so that is being covered. We're not talking about an indirect licensing because we implemented the full stack solution in terms of security. So that has been taken care of with your security aspect and the solution from the S4 HANA. BTP, yes, BTP obviously we leverage different services, so those needs to be procured accordingly. But it depends on your license and arrangement that you have with SAP. It whether it's a consumption based or you're procuring the services directly. So for the credit based, so that can be looked at based on individual clients' licensing model. Azure, yes, I think your enterprise license of Azure, then you can leverage quite a few services from there. Especially for the bot, I think you might need to separate license request needs to be done if it is not part of your licensing. I think there are two aspects of the licensing. Really, on the BTP side is one part for the services, and the Azure side of the bot services, right? So, but if you have the enterprise solution, I think you're mostly covered. But then there are a couple of elements still needs to be looked at when it comes to licensing, yeah, right?
So I will take this question, Sushil, from
Mm.
Hussein. That's the last question I think he has done. Is it possible? How can we push the approvals from the SaaS application? Can the REST APIs push the events to SAP Event Mesh? Yes, definitely. So that's one of the use case we were discussing. If you have noticed, like success factor leave approval, right? So what happens with the SaaS solutions provided by SAP is that for every event, for example, take the recruitment module of a success factor, right? If an candidate is moved from the interview to the hiring state, right? So they will give the event placeholders with which you can place your webhook, as I mentioned in the node application within the BTP, right? You can put the webhook there, which could read the change of events along with the candidate information. With the help of that, you can just push this minimum information into your BTP application. And the BTP application, if it needs to fetch much more information from the success factor, yes, it could construct the complete package and then send it as an approval or notification, or still they want to have some interaction, so it can go back and forth.
Correct. Thanks, Raj, for that. I think this is a time check. I think last question we have is about how we can get this implementation done in some customer landscape. Are any artifacts available, or how we can get the starting point? I think that's a great question. I think at the end of the webinar, you will see our contact details. You can reach out to me or Raj on an integrity email address, or there is an integrity's email address which where we guys can reach out to us. We are more than happy to help you guys. For the next steps, if your customer is really looking for this solution, then you can reach out to us and we can help in more detail how there needs to be solution, what artifacts can be shared, and what it takes to implement on the customer landscape. So please do reach out to us on our email addresses, and also follow us on Integrity's LinkedIn channel, and you'll see those more details coming up there. So thanks, team. I think I know it's Thursday morning for North American people, and then almost 9:30 for India if they're joining from India. Thanks for your precious time. We really appreciate you taking time, and then we'll be in touch again. And let's use this ecosystem and SAP's powerful tools to help customers and bring the right solutions for the customers, to improve their efficiency, productivity, and user experience. Thanks, team. Thanks, Raj.
Thanks everybody, thanks for your patience over the last 1 hour. I hope this POC would be able to help drive some innovative solutions.
Yep, thank you. Bye.
Bye.